Streaming now, this is the Wood TV Live Desk.
And good morning, everyone. Phil Penarski here with the Wood TV Live Desk. Hope you're having a great day so far. Storm teammate meteorologist Sara Flynn joins us now to really take a look at what we kind of experienced all across West Michigan with Tuesday's storms, and then also answering a lot of your questions. We saw a lot of questions on social media, into our newsroom, really regarding the process of how we talked about the storm and kind of learned a little bit more about it as we went. We're going to be telling you, answering you all of your questions in just a little bit throughout it. But Sara, first things first, really thank you for being here. And I also want to give you and the rest of Storm Team 8 a huge shout out for all the work you guys put in, really leading up to Tuesday. I mean, we kind of knew that storms were going to be happening kind of leading up to Tuesday, and then also giving people plenty of time to really get prepared and know everything on Tuesday as the storms are really starting to ramp up. So definitely credit goes out to you and the rest of Storm Teammate there. But we do want to take a quick first look, of course, at kind of what we were seeing yesterday. And I know you have a lot of great, awesome graphics for us to really kind of explain really just the size of this and the magnitude of what we saw through these graphics.
Yeah, it was quite confusing. I'll be honest, if you were chiming in, we had so many warnings in effect in addition to that tornado watch, a lot of colors popping on that map, but I think this graphic does a good job at showing where we saw those two significant areas of rotation. This doesn't necessarily mean this is just an entire track. In fact, that would be an incredibly long tornado track, but
Right.
Likely that's where we saw some touchdowns along the path, so we're still waiting to see exactly the ratings of those tornadoes and precisely where that path of damage is. But those were the two storms that we watched most closely last night.
Mm-hmm. And Sara, one thing that I wanted to address right away, because it was one of the questions that we saw really a lot, and was also something that I know a lot of people here in the newsroom also had questions about. I personally had never heard the term tornado emergency before, and hearing that, it obviously implies an emergency, of course, but there's some nuance to it. There's a lot that, as I mentioned, I don't know a lot about, but I'm sure you and the rest of Storm Team 8 do. Can you explain that phrase for us a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the tornado emergency that we saw was for Union City, Michigan. It actually was the first tornado emergency we've ever seen in Michigan before. To give you a little bit of background, since 1999, 199 tornado emergencies have been issued. 6 were back in 2023, and out of those 199, all 16 produced a confirmed tornado. So it pretty much means a tornado is on the ground. In Union City, we did see that, both with our radar signatures as well as trained spotters on the ground. In order to be called a tornado emergency, you need to have that confirmed tornado, either from spotter or radar. We look for debris there as well. It needs to be destructive or catastrophic damage imminent, so pretty much happening already. And then, of course, a threat to human life is when we start to use that term tornado emergency. So that there is, you're looking at your wind tracker. If we look at our debris tracker, when we start to see those blues pop up, it indicates a debris ball or debris being lofted into the air. So we had both of those going for us. The tornado warning was already in effect, but then it was a confirmed tornado followed by that tornado emergency.
Okay, and so like the term tornado emergency doesn't necessarily mean an absolute, an EF5 necessarily. It just means that there is 100% you guys can confirm a tornado.
Absolutely. It does tend to be a little bit of a higher rated tornado. Our scale goes from 0 to 5. Tends to be towards that EF2 or EF3 range oftentimes because of that destructive nature of it. Typically we don't see those for lower end tornadoes. But no, we don't know the rating of it just yet. We'll find out that later today, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to mention that because, again, we hope that nothing like this ever happens again, but we hope that people that are watching, if it ever does, we have somewhat severe weather, people can be a little bit more prepared. And that kind of leads into the next question, Sara, that I know we talk about it every single time there's severe weather, particularly when there is a chance for tornadoes. It's what is a tornado watch compared to a tornado warning? Can you kind of differentiate those two a little bit for us as well?
Right. So we got that tornado watch in effect at just before 2:45 yesterday, and that just basically means we're on the lookout for it. We have the ingredients in place that could produce those tornadoes. And a tornado warning, initially you start to see those red boxes pop up on our graphics. That means that we have some sort of rotation or indication that that storm could produce a tornado. When it turns that purple color, that's when we know it's confirmed, either from a spotter or from from that debris signature or a very strong rotation on our wind tracker velocity. So a little bit of difference with those, but the warning is the one that you want to be getting into that safe space. The watch, you just want to be on the lookout.
Right, absolutely. Definitely a great idea to know kind of the difference, knowing kind of the severity of what situation we're in at any given moment. Another question we also got a lot about, Sarah, is during the whole severe weather event, we were using the word potential tornado. We're seeing a lot of debris and damage that could potentially be a tornado, but that word potential, I think, really stuck out to a lot of people. We had messages from people saying that, oh, I saw the funnel cloud, I definitely saw a tornado, why are we still using potential? There is a reason why we were doing that, of course.
Right, so a lot of thunderstorms rotate. That's what thunderstorms sometimes do. Not all of them produce a tornado. So I'll show you here on our wind tracker kind of loop here. What we look for is those reds and greens mixing in. And so when we start to see that initially happening, that's when we talk about the potential for a tornado. We had several storms that were rotating and deemed a severe thunderstorm warning, and then eventually did turn into that tornado warning. So that's what we watch closely. In order, of course, to reach that tornado warning threshold, we need to have a pretty significant velocity scan or some debris with that, and that is what occurred. But a lot of thunderstorms rotate, so that's what we were watching a lot yesterday, and seeing really which ones were able to produce that tornado.
Right. Now, I do want to go over to our comment section right now on Facebook. We've got a question from Anne. I do want to remind everybody watching that if you do have questions for Sarah or myself regarding this, I don't know why you'd be asking me any questions, but if you have questions for Sarah,
you never know.
yeah, exactly. If you've got questions for Sarah regarding these storms that we saw on Tuesday, or really just general tornado questions, feel free to drop them down below in our chat on Facebook. But this question from Anne really talks about the potential for maybe even continuing severe weather potentially into Thursday. Any sort of chances? I mean, I know we're still kind of reeling from Tuesday, but are we expecting a little bit of more potentially severe weather later on this week?
It is to our south today. Barely Berrien County is in that marginal risk, which is a level 1 out of 5. I don't foresee any issues with us tonight. We'll have showers. We'll have showers into Thursday. It will be a little bit windy, which I know can impact cleanup in its own way. But as far as severe weather, I don't see any signs of that for several days to come, which is good news.
Yes, no, definitely a good question. Yeah, no, her question goes a little bit more in depth about around the time we might likely see it. I would encourage everybody to head on over to our website. We've got the radar, all the latest information there as well. But Sarah, kind of switching gears now, we are going to have continuing coverage here on News 8, both on our website, on all of our newscasts later up today, including coming up at noon in about 18 minutes. Just monitoring the damage that we've seen, hearing from people's stories. But one thing that the National Weather Service and other agencies are doing right now is really just determining what size of tornado we saw, all the damage, and kind of just taking a look at everything. What exactly are these agencies really looking at over these next couple hours, directly following tornado events like this?
Yeah, that is the burning question, and honestly, I don't have a solid answer as far as how many tornadoes we're going to officially get. What you're looking at here on this graphic is our storm reports. A lot of tornado icons popping up, but keep in mind, a lot of those were from the same cells. So the Weather Service, and know for sure, is in Portage. They're the ones who do the surveying. They look at damage and determine the rating, again, from that EF0 all the way to EF5. And then northern Indiana actually takes our southernmost Michigan counties, and they'll be doing surveys there. That's the one near Union City, as well as there was one towards Berrien County, as well as Van Buren. Potentially a tornado there. I haven't heard too much damage reports from that direction, so I would say I think we're going to get at least 2. Could be a little bit more than that, depending on if the tornado lifted, where the exact path was.
Yeah, no, definitely something for us to keep an eye on. And as I mentioned, we're going to have continuing coverage over on our website, woodtv.com, and also on our newscast coming up. As I mentioned, we're about to have one on noon, so highly encourage everybody to tune in for that. And we're going to be bringing you all the latest coverage from Portage, Union City, all of these heavily hit areas as well. Sarah, thank you so much for stopping by and answering all these questions. I know I really appreciate it. I'm sure everybody else watching really appreciates it.
Yeah, everyone
as
stay
well.
safe during cleanup out there.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to thank everybody else for tuning into this latest edition of the Wood TV Live Desk. I'm Phil Pinarski, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.